Hi, my name is Lily. I'm 18 years old, and this is the story of how I made a choice that changed my life and what I learned along the way. It all began when I got into my dream university. I was so excited, finally stepping out of my mother's shadow and starting a new chapter of independence. During orientation week, I met Jake. He was unlike anyone I'd ever known, confident, rebellious, and covered in tattoos that seemed to tell 100 stories. We hit it off instantly. He made me feel alive, like I could escape the predictable, perfect life my mother had always envisioned for me. We started dating, and for the first time, I felt free. But things changed when my mum found out about Jake. She wasn't happy. One evening, she sat me down and said, "Lily, I'm worried about you. I know you want to make your own choices, but is this the right one?" Her words made me angry. Why couldn't she trust me? Why did she always think she knew what was best? We argued, loudly. I said things I regret now, accusing her of never letting me live my own life. And then I did something drastic. I packed my bags and left. Jake and I moved into a small, run-down apartment near campus. At first, it felt exciting, like we were starting our own little adventure. Jake encouraged me to get a tattoo, and I did, a small flower on my wrist. I felt bold, independent, and completely in control. But reality hit fast. We were both students, broke and stressed. The romantic idea of starting fresh together quickly turned into endless arguments about money, chores, and priorities. Jake spent hours with his friends while I struggled to juggle classes and keeping our place clean. One night we had a huge fight about the rent. Sitting alone in the dimly lit apartment after he stormed out, I stared at my tattoo. It was supposed to symbolize freedom, but all I felt was regret. I missed home. I missed my mum. Her nagging, her overprotectiveness. They didn't seem so bad anymore. They were her way of showing she cared. But how could I go back after everything I'd said and done? I sat there for hours, the question turning over and over in my mind. Should I go back? A part of me longed to rush home, to feel the familiar comfort of my room and hear my mum's voice, even if it came with a scolding. But another part of me felt paralyzed by shame. How could I face her after the way I'd stormed out? What would I even say? The thought of walking through the front door and seeing her face terrified me. Would she even want me back? Would she look at me with disappointment, maybe even say, "I told you so"? I imagined the conversation. I'd have to swallow my pride, something I'd never been good at. I'd have to tell her the truth. "Mom, I made a mistake. You were right. I wasn't ready for this. And I didn't see what you were trying to protect me from. I thought I knew everything, but I didn't. I miss you and I need you." But even as I practiced those words in my head, my chest tightened. What if she didn't forgive me? What if going back only made things worse? Lost in my thoughts, I didn't even notice how the room had grown dark. The faint hum of the city outside seemed quieter now, as if the world itself was holding its breath, waiting for me to decide. The front door creaked open, and Jake walked in, his backpack slung over one shoulder. His face looked tired, the kind of exhaustion that didn't come just from working late, but from something deeper, maybe the same doubts and struggles I'd been feeling. He glanced at me sitting on the couch and dropped his bag onto the floor. "You're still up?" he asked, his voice flat. "Yeah," I said softly, pulling my knees closer to my chest. He didn't ask anything else, and I didn't offer an explanation. The silence stretched between us, heavier than I could handle. In that moment, I realized something. No matter how much Jake and I had tried to build a life together, we were just two kids pretending to have it all figured out. And while he might have his own path to navigate, I had to decide mine. I stared at my phone, my mom's number still on the screen, My thumb hovered over the call button, my thoughts swirling. Could I really face her after everything? What would I even say? How could I make her understand how much I regretted it all? Jake flopped onto the bed, muttering something about an early class tomorrow. The sound barely registered. My mind was somewhere else, back home, picturing the look on my mum's face if I showed up on the doorstep. Would she welcome me back with open arms, or would she shut the door and turn away? I didn't know. And the not knowing was what scared me the most. What should I do? Should I swallow my pride and go home, knowing I'll have to face her disappointment? Or should I stay here, trying to make things work in a life that no longer feels like mine? If you were in my shoes, what would you do? How would you find the courage to take that first step? Please, I need your advice.